Welcome back. Welcome back. Again, this is Jason Hall, Team Home Loans, filling in for my good friend Kyle Whissel, who's out in a conference in Canada. He and I have been doing this radio show 5 years together. Typically, I'm in the co-host, but I'm in the main seat and filling in for the co-host. And on the soundboard, hitting some different buttons, is Jeremy with Whissel Realty. Welcome back, Jeremy.
Thank you, sir. I'm like trying to figure out which button to hit next.
Well, we got to, hit that one button for Luke. So Luke's a fighter. Luke is an MMA fighter. You introduced him on our last segment, but I know you want to introduce him again. And was it 20?
Only with the sound.
You're my boy, Blue!
That's a good one.
You like that one, Luke?
I like that one.
Some of the sound buttons here. So Jeremy hasn't seen all the buttons.
Always remember, if you ain't first, you're last.
He likes that, right? There's some good sound stuff on the soundboard.
There is.
But want to kind of get into your history, Luke. So being a MMA fighter, working your way up to be a pro, it's something that I could tell you have a passion for. We were talking about it, before the show kicked off. We were talking about it in the breaks. How young did you start? Now, you're coaching, to let people know who might have missed the first segment, you're coaching kids as young as 6 years old at the Alliance East, right on the border of Santee Lakeside, near the Santee Drive-In.
Yep.
You're coaching kids there. You train in the morning yourself, and in the afternoon you're coaching, training young kids, starting at 6, and you guys even have people in their 70s out there kicking butt. And Jeremy said there's some 6-year-old ladies that'll kick, a lot of the 20-year-old guys you guys coach. They're pretty solid on it. But when did you get started?
Yeah, so much like Jeremy, wrestling was the base for me. Wrestled as a kid, youth. A lot of these kids that are coming in at 8, 9 years old at our gym I can relate to, because that's when I started wrestling. And that's a very tough sport. You're kind of wondering why you're doing that as a kid. Other people are playing soccer and
baseball,
football, and you're wondering why you get thrown around on a wrestling mat, But you keep doing it, and you keep getting better, and you find the positives of it, and you continue doing that, and that's how I got my start. And it being such a grueling sport, after high school, I did pretty well in high school. I did go to college and wrestled in college. I was a little burnt out, I love wrestling, but I needed something new, something to inspire me in a different way, and that's where MMA came in. So around 17 or 18, right at the end of high school, I started boxing and started trying to do other things with it, and put it all together and moved out here at the end of 2014.
Okay, so MMA, martial arts, what can you do and what can't you do, just so that we all understand?
Yeah, so there are definitely rules to MMA. There's no eye gouging, no biting, no scratching, obviously, no groin hits. You cannot knee an opponent that is down, and that just means that if they're down on their knees or on all threes, on their hands, knees, cannot knee them in the face.
But when they're standing up, you can do all that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can do anything when they're standing up except for headbutt.
Yep. Yeah. So, there's a lot of other rules, and we get told the rules before every fight, and they're pretty much, imprinted in our brain now. And they change, they vary, little rules here and there, but they pretty much have been the same standard rules for the last,
Didn't they change it now though this year? So now if they're hands down but their knees aren't, you can still knee the head, I think.
Yeah,
Did they change that, like playing the game?
That's a little gray area that I think this past year that has,
some states maybe state by state. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the grounded opponent and stuff. There are those.
I think they're figuring that out right now.
Yeah, that's correct.
So how many fights you been in now?
I have 9 professional fights and I have 12 amateur fights. So
21 altogether.
Yeah, just over 21. When I started in Michigan, it wasn't sanctioned, the fights, so I was able to fight, every couple weeks.
Wow.
And so I got a lot of experience doing that, and with my wrestling background, I was able to be confident enough to say, you know what, I'm going to move out to California, because honestly, California is the mecca of MMA, and it's kind of where it all started, and that's where it got a really big base and known for. So I knew that's where I wanted to come out, and there's a lot of great gyms out here. But Alliance and Alliance East just proves over and over, hard work and the right people you can be successful.
Yeah. So let me ask you, you're not the biggest guy,
No.
right? And so there must be weight divisions.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons I got into wrestling. You know, when you're a kid and everyone's growing and hitting puberty and you stay the same size, you don't want to play football. I mean, I did still. I played baseball, all that. But you want to do a sport that you have an advantage in. And when there's weight classes, it doesn't matter how big you are. And you don't have a coach to tell you, hey, you can start. Hey, I want this person to play. You wrestle the person in front of you. And if you beat them, you're on the varsity spot. And
Right.
my father always told me, you know, no coach can tell you if you can start. You beat the person in front of you, you make weight, you're going to be on varsity. And that goes through life, too. You know, I try to tell the kids that.
It's great.
That's why wrestling is
example.
so, yeah, exactly.
Because it really is mano a mano, right?
Mhm.
One-on-one. And that's really what life is. I mean, there's teams in life and certain stuff, but at the end of the day, you're the ones responsible for you,
Yep.
right? For everything you do or don't do.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes a huge impact. And I think that's a great lesson since I've coached, you know, football. I mean, varsity football coach. I've done softball varsity. I've done, you know, tons of soccer and baseball and basketball, all the sports. It is so tough being a football coach when you have 22 starting positions, not including special teams. That's just offense, defense. You might have the best quarterback and not even know because he's playing offensive line. He hasn't raised his hand.
Yeah.
Right? But in wrestling, in fighting, it's one-on-one.
Yeah.
They're going to have to raise their hand. You get in,
that's it.
you're going to make it, right? And you're going
Yeah.
to stand out. And, you know, coaching during the years, some of the kids that we, you know, had as offensive linemen, you know, when they were, you know, 10, 11, 12 years old, because they were a little bit bigger, they weren't aggressive. By the time they got to high school, they'd learned the game so well, they became the dominant running back, the
Yeah.
dominant linebacker. And all my, you know, kids that I've coached and my buddies I coach with, they were like, wow, why wasn't Joe like that, you know, 5 years ago when we were in 6th and 7th, 8th grade, right? Like, and I'm like, hey, everybody comes at a different level. Everybody's learning. And you said that, you know, at puberty, some of these kids, I've seen 12-year-olds, like my brother was, you know, almost 6 foot, 240 at 12 years old.
Yeah.
Right. And I've seen other kids, including myself, you know, at 14 as a freshman, me and my son were, you know, 14 years old. We were 5 foot to 5'1". We were like, you know, 85 to 100 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, everybody develops differently. And so that's interesting how you said that. And so if you have a son or a daughter out there, anybody between 6 to 18, that's pretty much what Luke coaches out in Alliance East. They're going to get one of the best coaches who not only understands fighting and how to protect, but actually still does it. And what is your goal on the pro level?
At the pro level, my goal is to make money and you know, be able to provide for me and my family and just enjoy it. You know, a lot of people probably have a lot bigger you know, things they want to try to do. Mine is just to be happy and try to just enjoy the life I'm living. I'm not working a job that I hate. I was working jobs that I really did not like. I wasn't happy with my life. And now that I do have something that I love and I can give back to, I'm just going to go full force with it. And with the wrestling, just to go a little step back with the wrestling, what I try to tell these kids is we know they're not going to be MMA fighters. They're not going to be wrestlers. But what we can put in their head is that if they can get through tough practices and they can get through tough situations in the wrestling room and step on the mat by themselves without anyone, then in a real life situation, they'll be prepared for that and they're going to be mentally strong. And that's what we
right.
try to do for them.
What is it Dan Gable said? Once you wrestle, everything in life is easy.
And that's the truth. Yep.
Wow. Once you've wrestled, everything else in life is easy.
Yep.
That's a great quote.
Dan
Who
Gable.
said that?
Dan Gable.
Dan Gable.
He's the Babe Ruth of American wrestling.
Well, that's good to know. Again, you're listening to AM 1170 The Answer. This is Whissel Weekends. We got in studio Jeremy with the Whissel Realty team, one of the top agents. Also happens to be an MMA fighter and wrestler, and one of his good buddies who he trains with and who's actually taken over training the youth out of Alliance East, Luke. And Luke's last name again?
Faultersack.
Faultersack.
Yeah, it's a doozy.
Yeah, so Luke is not only coaching the kids, but he's actually still a professional fighter working his way up. Now, is there separate divisions? So I know I kind of hit on that, but then we got sidetracked a little bit. What divisions, just so I understand, that you have in your level?
Yeah, so at my level
Yeah.
as fighting,
Is an MMA fighter.
mean
Weight
weight
class,
class?
divisions, you guys tell me.
yeah, so I fight at featherweight, which is 145 pounds.
Okay, so 145 or less.
Yep.
And so what are the different? What's the lowest weight? Is that the lowest weight?
Lowest is 125.
Okay. Wow,
Oh
that's-
well, for the men. For the women, it's 115.
All right, so let's stick
Yeah.
with men so I can keep track. So
Yeah.
what's 125? What's that called?
Flyweight, right?
Yep. Flyweight.
So
Yep.
flyweight, and then is the next one feather?
Bantam.
Bantam.
Yep.
135.
Okay, and then must be 145 must be featherweight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's the next level up?
Lightweight.
Lightweight, which is 100. And what?
55.
Yep.
All right, and then so that keeps going all the way up until
So
is
it's
Heavyweight's
pretty,
265.
heavyweight's the max 265.
Yeah.
You know, so there is at least some limit.
Yeah.
Oh,
So like my little brother who's pushing close to 400.
Gonna have to drop some pounds.
He's
to
gonna have to
fight.
drop some pounds to fight, and like he said, he hasn't been under 240 since he was 12.
Yeah.
So he may never make that, but that's good to know.
Yeah. There's the weight classes. We're kind of in a point now in MMA where they're thinking about changing the weight classes a little bit because people are cutting weight, and usually it goes up by the 10, 20,
Right.
25, 35, 45, 55. But then there's a jump from 55 to welterweight 170, which is a 15-pound gap,
Right.
and there's talking about changing some stuff, but yep, that's pretty much the gist of it.
Now, if somebody wants to get involved with Alliance East, what do they need to do?
You got to walk in, you got to take that first step and walk in the door.
All right,
You
you can Google Alliance East, right?
Yeah.
Jeremy, what's the easiest way?
Yeah. You Google Alliance East or alliancegymeast.com.
Okay.
There's also the phone number is 619-258-2550. You can
Okay.
give us a call. We'll let you know what the schedule is, and you can come in. You get a free week trial, so you can come out. We want you to make sure you like it before we ask you to sign a contract.
Free week trial.
That's
Yep.
our pitch.
Yeah.
We're not trying to trick them into a contract. Try it
No.
out and see if you like it.
Yeah.
My bet is that you will, and then you'll want to stay.
Most people come in thinking it's going to be crazy, a bunch of MMA fighters yelling and screaming. We do yelling and screaming, but it's all in good fun. We're having fun. We're working hard, and we're not there to put anyone down. We're there to build people up. So
Exactly. That's I think a big something that gets misconstrued is that people think it's going to be all crazy, but it's
All
not
right.
that.
Well, we're getting ready to head to a break. Again, you're listening to AM 1170, The Answer, Whissel Weekend. We're actually going to talk some real estate coming up on the next segment
There we
with
go.
Jeremy with Whissel Realty. We'll be right back.